Something is making a noise. I guess third time is the charm. Today we're back on this 2004 CRF150. I cleaned everything up and ordered a bunch of new parts, so let's see if we can get it back together today. First order of business is a new set of bearings. The crankshaft and the transmission bearing already came out on their own when I took it apart, but now I need to get this last bearing out of here. This retaining plate gets some orange thread locker, and the torque spec is 23 Newton meters. Now it's time to fix this transmission. I'm going to start with the counter shaft, or the side with the sprocket. I use these zip ties on each end to keep things together, so I'm just going to cut the right side off first. Starting on the right side, I'm going to take the thrust washer off, put it on this threaded rod so I know the orientation. Then I can slide off the starter idler gear and the bushing. Here's another thrust washer. Now I can remove the C1 gear. Here's a thrust washer behind it. There's a bushing here on the C1 gear as well. And this thrust washer. Now I can take off the C3 gear, the one that went bad. Next up, there's a snap ring that I need to get. I did not want to come off of there. Now I can remove the splined washer and the C4 gear. On the left side, we have our thrust washer. And then the C2 gear, the C2 bushing, another thrust washer, and the C5 gear. That should be everything. Going back together now, the C5 goes on first. Then we have our thrust washer. Then we have our C2 bushing. Then we have our C2 gear. Finally, a thrust washer. Back to the right side here, we can slide the C4 gear on. And the splined washer. Now we need a new snap ring here. You want to make sure it's in that groove. Now we can slide on the C3 gear. Obviously not using this one again, so I have a new one here. Thrust washer. The C1 bushing. The C1 gear. Another thrust washer, the idler gear bushing, the idler gear, and the final thrust washer. We'll do the same thing with the main shaft now. First should be a washer. Then this is the kickstart drive, a thrust washer. Moving on to the left side, we have a thrust washer. This is the M2 gear. Next should be the M5 gear. And then there's a splined washer. Have another snap ring here. And we can slide off the M4 gear. There's another snap ring here. Now there should be a splined washer and the M3 gear. Here's the splined washer and the bad M3 gear. Going back together here, I have a new M3 gear. Gonna slide that on to this left side. Remove the bad gear here. Then we have a splined washer. Have another new snap ring here. Now I can install the M4 gear. And the final snap ring. Next up is the splined washer, the M5 gear, the M2 gear, and the thrust washer. On the right side, we have a thrust washer to start, kickstart drive gear, the thrust washer that goes over top of this. Transmission's back together and looking good. I'm going to go ahead and apply some assembly lube to it now. But I will also do it when I put the engine together. I've got them meshed together. I just have some grease on this side to hold the washers in. Now I can install the shift drum, which also has a thrust washer. Now we can install the shift forks, starting with the left one, markings facing up, going all the way down at the bottom. Center shift fork with the markings down. And the right one, the markings up. Coat this in assembly lube. Here we go, transmission all together. Can shift it through the gears here. Everything's looking good. Last thing for this bottom end is this kickstart gear, and it also has a thrust washer on the bottom. I've checked everything over and it looks good, so I'm going to go ahead and install these dowel pins. The gasket. I'm just going through in a crisscross pattern and tightening these lightly until the case is fully seated. The transmission is still spinning freely, so is the crank, so I'm going to go ahead and torque it down. All these bolts get tightened down to 10 Newton meters in a crisscross pattern. Gonna go ahead and put the shifting star and gear shift stuff together first. There's a washer, the stopper, and the bolt. Torque on this stopper arm is 12 Newton meters, and this is just tightened securely. Okay, now with the shift star on it, I'll run it back through the gears again. Should be 5th, 4th, 3rd, 2nd, neutral, and 1st. Next up is the shift shaft. There's a thrust washer here. Here's a quick look at the old oil pump. It was in really bad shape. These rotors here are completely torched. That's really heavy grooving. And this is in just as bad of shape. The actual housing itself is in really bad shape. This is super scored. If you guys remember, these 2 screws I had to drill out, and these 2 screws I had to drill out as well. So pretty much none of it is usable. I am going to use this drive gear. I couldn't find a replacement oil pump for the 150F, so I did a lot of research, and the internet tells me I can use this Honda 230F oil pump. The rotor should be a little bit bigger, giving me a little more volume, and hopefully all I have to do is switch over this drive gear, so we'll see how that works. I got the new oil pump apart. This drive gear is definitely a little bit different. The 230F is slightly smaller. I got it all back together. I've been checking the movement. Everything seems good. Hopefully this will just be a new high flow oil pump. To put this clutch together, first we're going to install the spring seat, then the judder spring. It should look like that, facing away from the spring seat. Then we have the smallest clutch plate as the biggest diameter. All these are going to get coated in oil. Should go around the judder spring. Then we have a steel plate. Then just a normal clutch disc. Actually, the next 4 will be the same. This last clutch plate has more discs than the other on both sides, so you'll be able to identify it, and that goes on last. Now it's time to put this clutch in. These bottom 5 discs all go in the main groove, and this top disc goes in this offset groove. Here's another quick look. These first 5 discs are in the main groove. This top disc is over here. I bought this clutch holding tool. This nut goes to 93 Newton meters or 69 foot-pounds. It's not as hard to torque down. I only got it to like 50 some pounds with that. So I'm just gonna hit it with a few ugga-duggas and hopefully it'll be good. That looks good to me. These all get torqued down to 12 Newton meters. To finish off this side, this oil filter gets torqued down to 83 Newton meters. I have my old wrist pin in here, and these are rods from a crank puller, so hopefully this will get the job done. There you go. I'm going to move over to the flywheel side now, go ahead and get these 2 seals in quickly, and then move on to the rest. I went ahead and got a new cam chain for this. My woodruff key's already in, so I'm going to go ahead and slide this flywheel on. Now there's just a washer and a bolt. This is getting torqued down to 74 Newton meters or 54 foot-pounds. Got it. Moving on to the top end, I went ahead and got a new piston and cylinder. I'm going to check everything out real quick and then put it together. This top ring is perfect. I've already checked it. It's supposed to be 0.008. This is why you always check your ring gaps even if it's brand new. This should be 0.0014 and it's 0.004. Got this ring ground down. The 0.014 fits perfectly now. So I think we can go ahead and put them all in this piston. Put a little gasket maker here on the front and back where the cases meet. Now we can go ahead and put the base gasket on. With the cylinder on, I'm going to go ahead and throw this head back together. Going to start with the valve seals. Exhaust valve first. Got my assembly lube on here. Pop it through the valve seal. Spring seat first. Then the springs tightly coiled side down. Then the keeper. Now we'll put it in the valve spring compressor. Now I can put the front cam chain guide in, 2 dowel pins, head gasket, rear cam chain guide can go in now. For this next part, you need to make sure that your motor is at top dead center, meaning the piston is at the top of its stroke. And for that, all you have to do is line up this T mark here with this notch on the case. My oil drain plug and 2 dowels. Now I can set my cam in with the lobes facing down. Make sure you get some assembly lube on that as well. Last step before putting this on was a thin layer of gasket maker. The bolts get tightened down to 12 Newton meters in a crisscross pattern. These cap nuts go to 26 Newton meters. This Allen head gets torqued down to 10 Newton meters. One last check of the timing here. The T on the flywheel lines up with this notch on the case. The cam gear markings here line up with this head. The cam lobes are facing down and the piston is at the top of the cylinder. It's time to put this tensioner back in, so first we need to retract it all the way. Make sure it's locked. Make sure you have a fresh gasket on it. Now we can release the tensioner. New rubber gasket, and put the plug in. Gonna put the intake on while I'm here. Make sure you have a fresh O-ring that's not crushed down. Before I put this cover on, I'm going to check the torque on both of these. It's supposed to be 12 Newton meters. New gasket, new O-ring here. Next up is the stator. The crankshaft center bolts get a little bit of blue Loctite on them. Make sure your dowel pins are in, gaskets on. You can go ahead and slide this over. This wire holder is not factory, but I'm just going to make it work. It's kind of what the guy had on before. It's not really that critical. Got a new sprocket to put on. I'm going to work on this right side now. First up will be the seals. Can't believe it. It's finally time to put this motor back in carefully. Gonna go ahead and hook up these wires now just to get them out of the way. Now that I got the chain on, I'm going to quickly go through the gears here. We obviously have neutral, first, second, third, fourth, fifth. Also going to go over my clutch real quick. Clutch in, seems okay. Clutch out, everything's locked up. Finally, it's time to work on this carburetor. Go ahead and remove some of these lines. O-ring is flat, but not too dirty. Doesn't look too bad in there actually. Again, the gasket's completely flat, but we're replacing that. Everything is just like old and dry rotted. Gonna take the float out. Needle looks good. Float looks decent. There's just some like residue. This casting is like really porous. Try to get the jets out now. Start with the main jet. Looks like it's a 102. Came right out. Also looks pretty clean. Jet seat or holder. Next we'll get the pilot jet. This fuel screw is like a D screw. I'm going to try to get it out, but it's going to be hard for me to count turns. At first I thought it was like a Welch plug. Got it. O-ring and a washer here as well. I'll have to look and see. That might be stuck in there. Got it. Got all the lines off. This actually looks like it's in really good shape here. Alright, now it's time for the ultrasonic cleaner. Get this last flat gasket out of here. Looks much better now. Now that it's all clean, we'll start putting it back together. First, we'll put this diaphragm in, then the spring, and the cap. Okay, got the lines back on, got them all secure. Move on to the bottom here. We'll start with the fuel mixture screw. Brand new here. Have a spring, a washer, and a rubber gasket. I'm going to set this to 2.5 turns out from bottomed. And this will be my starting point. Next up is the pilot jet. Needle jet holder. Followed by the main jet. Needle in the float. Fresh O-ring here. think it's finally time to start it. Put the choke on. As you guys could probably tell in the last clip, this bike is not starting. It doesn't even want to try to start. I've been going over a couple things, check the timing, check the valve clearances. Everything seems good, so I'm going to move on and do a compression and a leak down test and see what's going on with this rebuild. We'll go with the compression test first. And yeah, it's looking like a little bit over 100 psi. This should be around 150 minimum. Like to see it even higher, but it seems to be stuck around 120. Yeah, 120. I have the cylinder leak down test set up. The motor's at top dead center. Made sure there's valve lash on both the valves. Breaker bar on the flywheel to hold the motor, and I'll slowly start feeding air in here. We'll go up to at least 70, 75, maybe 80. Okay. So 80's going in, we're holding about 79. There's really not much leaking past at all, which is kind of disappointing. Thought one of the valves would be open. I can hear a little bit going into the crankcase past the rings, which is normal. This is barely any loss at all, so I'm not sure why we're not getting good compression. I got the top end tore down, and right away I can see that this piston is much different. At top dead center, it's pretty much even with the deck here. And this is the old piston. You can see quite a bit of dome. So I'm going to put some rings back on the old one and put it in here, and we'll see what it looks like. Here's a look at them side by side. I have no idea how I didn't notice this before, but there's a very obvious difference. Old piston is back in, still at top dead center. Put my straight edge across here to show you. Quite a bit above the deck. Definitely where my compression was. So I'll slap it all back together and hopefully it runs. It's now another week later. I think I'm back to where we left off. I put the motor back together with the old piston. I'm going to check the compression here. If everything's good, we'll try to start it up again. Okay. Oh yeah, over 150 psi. That's perfect. That's right where I would expect it to be. Choke's on, fuel's on. Oh yeah, nice. That's what I was expecting the first time. Gonna go to middle choke. Ooh, I hear something though. Figured out what was making that horrible noise. This oil pump gear is getting the teeth all ground down. I don't know exactly what's happening, but here's the problem. It was another really dumb mistake by me. I had this oil pump drive gear in. It was the wrong one. It's a 34 tooth. Really, this one over here should have been in, the 31 tooth. So now I get to tear the engine back down, make sure it's all clean, and install the right gear again. I took apart the oil pump and it doesn't seem too beat up. I don't see any scratches in here. Rotor still looks good, so I don't think too much damage happened. Everything's back together now. kick it over and it seems pretty smooth, so I think the oil pump is happy now. Well, the bike is built for the third time here. Everything is back together. I'm going to start it up, make sure it doesn't make a huge racket now, and hopefully we can move on. Oh wow, okay. I guess third time is the charm. Try no choke. Open the door here. No racket. Wow, can't believe it. This thing is finally running. Sounds pretty decent. Still got a few minor tweaks, but overall it's pretty good. I'm gonna finish putting this thing together and take it on its first ride. Gears are there. Got all the gears there. It's looking good, and I'm happy with how it performed so far. Clutch is working good. Everything in the transmission seems smooth. If it wasn't for my dumb mistakes, this thing would have been together a long time ago. I think that's going to do it for today's video. Had to rebuild this motor about 3 times over 6 months. It was not easy, learned a lot of lessons, but in the end everything turned out okay. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it and maybe even learned something. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.